What's going on, geeks, gamers, and everything in between? If you're here for the spoiler-filled review of War for the Planet of the Apes. Now, if in error you click that button and you want to see a spoiler-free one, check out the link in the description below. It'll take you on over to the main Geeks and Gamers YouTube channel where I did a spoiler-free review with Jeremy Griggs and Aaron Harp. So, spoiler-filled review time. Now, I'm not going to get all crazy about the fact that the name of the movie is misleading, because it really isn't. If it was War of the Planet of the Apes, that one word change, alright, I would get it. But I think what they did with this film is super intelligent, right? They took the whole theory of war and made it an internal struggle inside of Caesar. And we're going to get into that further. But I want to start off really by saying I had a lot of problems trying to score this film. Now, I'm usually pretty dead set when I walk out of the theater of what a score is going to be for a film. But this one, if you watched the spoiler-free review already, I couldn't score it. And I couldn't figure out why. I thought maybe I needed to rewatch the film. However, I took a night and a day to really think about it. And the film is actually two stories. And I think the fairest way to score it is by those two stories. One being Caesar's story, the other being everything else that's going on. Kind of the backdrop, right? So, I want to start off with Caesar's story. Now, Caesar's story is near perfect. And that's continuing from Rise to Dawn to War 4. It's almost perfect. You will never ever see another motion-capped character like that and feel the same emotions that you feel for Caesar probably ever again. I'm going to call that right now. Andy Serkis definitely deserves an Oscar, and so does the animation team behind it. And if you want to check out more about why Andy Serkis deserves an Oscar, you can head over to the Geeks and Gamers page. That link's in the description, where Thomas Broom Jones makes that argument. But in this film, Caesar, Andy Serkis is on top of his game, and the story that follows through of just being consumed by vengeance to the point where you're willing to sacrifice everything that you built, so that he almost relates to Koba in a way, is just mind-boggling perfect. Everything that Caesar goes through throughout that whole film is eloquent and beautiful and hurtful and hateful, and it's just, by the end, you can't not but love this character if you already didn't. And just everything, even up until the end, and I know a lot of people are really upset by how it ended, where he didn't actually kill Woody Harrelson's character, the Colonel. He stopped, and really, that is just so great, because he saw in the Colonel what he was becoming. The same thing that Koba was. Someone who just, all of that hate and anger just destroyed everything, to where he's left all by himself, speechless and unable to function. And the only salvation he has is to kill himself. And Caesar decides against that in the final moment. But everything leading up to that with Caesar, absolutely perfect. I can't really say anything negative. There's not much more to say. And the ending, I cried. I'm not going to lie. I was bawling like a baby. And even this morning when I was thinking about that ending, I started to get choked up. It's a perfect way to end his series. And if they continue on with it, hopefully it's somewhere close to the standard that Andy Serkis and everyone who's written these movies has obtained with that character. But, so with that, I mean, you want to give it a number, 9.5 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for Caesar's story. Will go down as one of the greatest protagonists in film history. So then we get to the other stuff, and this is the stuff that really bothered me about War for the Planet of the Apes. Number one, the Colonel. The story of the Colonel is a trope of sci-fi, and it seems like it's a trope of a lot of the villains in this series. Gary Oldman's character, while I get it, a lot of people were upset he didn't get a lot of screen time, but he was just external pressure for Koba really being the bad guy in the second film. But, Gary Oldman has that scene where he's looking through his iPad at his kids, and, they've all perished from the simian flu. And now Woody Harrelson's the Colonel. His son has perished because of this advanced simian flu. It's, I don't know, a little lazy, right? But the real big problem about that is that besides that one monologue where the Colonel is talking to Caesar, you don't really get a lot of time with him. And I think that does a disservice to the entire story. Mainly because this is pretty much the last gasp of humanity as we know it. And this should be what we've seen, how humanity goes so insane and so crazy and is willing to do whatever it takes to survive. We should have seen more of that, more of the malevolence, more of the cruelty. And yeah, he kills one ape, shoots him in the head, but it was an ape that we weren't familiar with. It was just some random ape in the, penitentiary block. So they really should have focused more on him. Yes, I get it. The series is about the apes. But in this instance, focusing more on how humanity has been broken and the apes are more human than human would have just been way better for that story, at least in my opinion. Then we come to Bad Ape. Now, I've been in a few arguments about Bad Ape, and I still stand by what I've originally said. Bad Ape is an unnecessary character. Let me tell you why. So I get that he's a tool, the valve release for all the tension, the comedic relief, but after a while, that's all he's there for. And that would be fine if there wasn't a setup through dialogue when they first meet him about how he's from a tribe of, intelligent apes that have perished. He's the last one alive. At that point in the movie, you're still thinking that there's going to be this big, huge war, right? So you kind of assume that, oh man, maybe Caesar's going to meet all these other intelligent ape tribes, or at least one of them, and come back and there's going to be a fight, right? But there's not. So after that, he's literally just there to be a tool, and I'm not a fan, personally, of characters just being tools. I think they need to serve more purpose to the story than just to be there to be like, oh, this was really serious, I'm going to do something funny. It's just, I don't know, it just didn't fit for me. And then you have Nova, the girl, who, yeah, she's a sympathetic character, but also there was just some things about her that just, I don't know, didn't work for me. Like the fact that she just walks into the base and hands off, stuff to Caesar and, gives him water and food. Just, nobody saw her. She walked by guys like 5 times, and just everybody's like, oh, hey, it's some little girl. Hey, girl. I don't know. Like, I get the whole thing that as the humans are regressing because of that mutated simian flu, they're becoming closer to what the apes used to be, and that the apes have sympathy for her because they remember what that feels like. And that's a really great, line of thought, but it really doesn't ever go anywhere, considering she's the only one that they take with her. Other than that, the avalanche. The avalanche is probably one of the greatest visuals I've ever seen, but it's really lazy how they just wiped out the invading army with an avalanche, just all of a sudden. Come on. Come on, guys. Really? So, for the story, the backdrop for War for the Planet of the Apes, I almost want to give it a 6. Like, there was just a lot of stuff going on around Caesar that it could have been a little bit better. Now, I'm super stoked and happy that they went, for The Great Escape rather than for something like Pearl Harbor or Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, because I really didn't want to see any apes with rocket launchers flying helicopters into a giant war. The Great Escape plot of them escaping from prison was amazing, and I'm really glad that they misled everybody by, everybody thinking, oh my god, it's going to be all these great battles, and instead it's this really great battle for the soul of the ape society, which through the transitive property is the war for Caesar's soul, because he is ape society. With that, I can't really give it a super big score. I don't know, average it out, maybe it's an 8 out of 10, but I really want to focus on the positive here, in that Caesar's story is a perfect 10 out of 10. I rewatched Rise, Dawn, and then went straight into War for the Planet of the Apes, and there's not one negative thing I can say about Caesar. How they wrote him, how Circus performed him, and how the animators animated him. It's just all around one of my favorite characters in film. And I really hope that if you go see War for the Planet of the Apes, or if you're like me, you walked out kind of going, oh man, you can at least focus on the fact that that story that's running through all 3 films is just damn near perfect. And if you want to debate me, come at me, bro, because I will take you down. Anyway, check out all the other stuff on my Nerd Life page, co-branded with Geeks and Gamers, or head on over to the main Geeks and Gamers page, where we got a lot of cool stuff going on, including reviews with me and Jeremy Griggs straight out of the movie theater. How did we pull that off? There was bribes. No, I'm kidding. We have a friend. It was a favor. I don't know. But next week we are going to be reviewing Dunkirk, actually getting to watch it in 70mm, so look out for that one. And of course, maybe one day I'll get back into doing comedic skits. It's always a possibility. With that, keep it nerdy, peeps, and I'll catch you next time.